Hi, friends. Welcome to the Beans World 77 podcast, Friday, the 4th of July, which is Independence Day. Now, I literally, it's a few days from my birthday, not the channel's birthday, which I think I wanted to actually talk about on this podcast because a lot of people kind of thinking. So, what I thought we would do is talk about what we're going to be doing this year for the channel's birthday, because we've got a plan. We're going to do a big live stream on November the... I can't remember. It's not the actual date when the channel started, but when things got going, I think it was November the 15th, I think it was. Yeah, November the 15th. That's when we got the 200 sub mark. We didn't get 300 subs till, I think, was it December? Yeah, December. So what I'm thinking is, around that time in November, what I'm thinking is to literally do a massive live stream on that day. When I say massive live stream, I mean kind of just doing a live stream, but a live stream with a difference. So, yeah. Now, this is what I want to talk about as well, before I get into the shout-outs and all the good stuff, right? I'm thinking as well into not doing as many, because the idea kind of flopped, doing this podcast and doing an afterthoughts thing with the whole live stream thing, and then doing if I can, I will do a live stream, but and I don't know, I think we'll just see how it happens, how it pans out. Now, I'm going to the Beehive event, which is on the Sunday, which is the 6th of July. I'm going to go to the Beehive event, and I'm going to live stream down there, because if anybody who's got any, we could use that as like a bit of a meet and greet if you want. So if there's any subscribers, you can come down there and whatever. But also we can have it so people can comment on there and have that as a afterthoughts kind of thing from the podcast. And also try and introduce... I was going to try and do it on the other channel, but we'll just see how that happens, how it pans out. But there will be a live stream around that day anyway. So yeah. So this podcast, it's a very, very tricky thing, because until I actually know what I'm going to do with it, I think this is probably going to be the last episode just for the moment, until I've actually got a whole idea of what I'm going to do with this podcast properly. There is a lot I'm going to cover in this week's podcast. We've also got the interview with imaginary Noel, the taxi driver, which I was supposed to do a few weeks ago. It never happened. Oh, hang on, no, I do have another podcast for next week. Do tell a lie, because I did that on my voice recorder. But after that, I don't know. I'll just see where it all pans out. Because here's the thing, I keep putting it in the post every week. I keep putting it on a live stream, and I don't know. I mean, I get the same 20. And here's the thing: it's like, it's not really a podcast channel. So to have a podcast on here is just the icing on the cake, really. So I mean, if you like it, fine, I'll carry on doing it. But if you don't like it, there's no point to me doing it, and I'll just go back to doing the other thing that I was doing. But I do want to do something to keep this channel alive, because I do want to get to the 400 subs And I'm not going to get rid of any other podcasts that are on this channel because I understand there is people like them and enjoy them. But obviously, if you do like them, I'm not going to do a Kevin Chapman and say, hey, this is the end. But what I'm saying is, it's the end until I know that people want it, until people, if they've got something. Now, I will still do them for the Beansword family because there's a thing. And I'm still toying on the idea of doing a Patreon because the money isn't. Again, that's like the icing on the cake. A lot of content creators don't discuss this sort of thing. But if I did have money, if this channel was generating money, it would go into a project, meaning that it would go into creating a better something for the fans. Now, I have thought of doing a website which will host just the podcasts on and just other bits and pieces, which I thought, yeah, let's do that. But I don't know, and I still don't have a thorough idea yet of what I want to do with that. So, and I do want to get a members section on YouTube. I don't know how many subscribers you need to have for a members section. Once I found out how many subscribers you need for a members section, there will be a members section. And when we get the members section, guess what? The podcast will carry on happening. I know I just said the podcast won't, but the podcast will carry on happening. And all the car walk around videos? Oh, yes. And for the members only section, guess which video I'm going to do, which I said I wasn't going to do for the... but I'm going to do it when we get to 1,000 subs. I'm going to find a Range Rover because I know someone that's got one. I'm going to do a Range Rover. Oh, dear. Ugh. Yeah, I know we said we're not going to do them, but when it gets to a certain mark... I mean, I said that we weren't going to do Citroens, but you only need one Citroen. Just one. And you only need one Range Rover. And that's the thing. And I think, it's like... People are asking, no, why did you do a Tesla? Well, at the beginning, I was doing sort of any car walk around. I was just getting the feel for it, just getting the hang of it. But really, I'm not going to say I'm not going to give my actual thoughts about Tesla, but Range Rover, I will give you my actual thoughts around. I personally don't think Range Rovers aren't very good cars in my opinion, because Range Rovers are easy to break into and they're very, very expensive on the insurance and they're not very reliable. They're a car that you have to break them in, shall we say, in order to keep them going, to, if I was going to get a Range Rover, it would have to be a 20, 30-year-old Range Rover, to be frankly honest. And people are going to go, well, Range Rover and Land Rover, aren't they the same car? Yes, the Range Rover Discovery, which is the only decent one which I have driven and I have been in. I haven't done walk rounds of, but finding a Range Rover Discovery is like finding a real diamond. Ouch. But yeah, I thought I'd cover that on the podcast just because, but when we get up to 1,000 subs, I will do a Range Rover walk around and it's going to hurt me to do it. Trust me. It's going to really, really hurt me. It's going to hurt me as much. It'll hurt me more than it'll hurt you. Let's put it that way. But yeah, but I'm sticking to my the cars that I'm going to be doing on the channel now will be mostly Volvos and Mercs, and that's what I'm sticking to, really. Just old cars and Mercedes cars. And I know you've seen two BMWs on the channel, but the other BMW that I recently did is a different BMW. And it wasn't electric. Unfortunately, because I was in a rush, I didn't want to pop the hood, but I'm sure the engine is the exact same shape to what you've seen on the Maserati and the Renault and stuff like that. You know, it hasn't got any twin carburetors or anything like that. So, you know, I showed off what I needed to really with that car. And, you know, it's a nice smooth drive and everything. But, yeah. And so that's the thing. So I've done 2 BMWs, and obviously if I can get a good car, I'll get a good car, and, you know, that's what I can do. But now SantaPod, I was talking to somebody about SantaPod. They don't mind YouTubers doing SantaPod. However, it's becoming one of those events that they don't really want it being milked by YouTubers, which I can understand. They don't mind the odd YouTuber doing SantaPod. They don't mind the odd coverage. It has been over commercialized anyway, but you know, but it's, you know, it's not like it used to be, and I think they're losing the community slightly from it, which, you know, technically, it's, and the thing is with SantaPod, it's not like these smaller car events like the Transport Festival, which we went to. Even though it isn't petrol heads racing around a track, which is something that we'd love. And here's another thing. I hate to burst people's bubbles, but there are thousands upon millions of channels where you could see cars racing around a track. You know, we're trying to stem clear of it. And another thing, Galloway's Driving Day, which I'm very sad to have missed this year because I'd have loved to have gone to it. I'm going to go to it next year, and yes, I will do, I will capture what I can of Driving Day for you folks, because I know people they've been asking for it for now on the channel. I mean, really, my channel is just like a huge Galloway's Driving Day experience. It's the whole, that's the whole idea behind Beans World 77. So for me personally, though, Driving Day is not as exciting as, you know, once you've done one Driving Day. You know, it's not like you can walk around cars and stuff. It's more about an experience of going in a car. It's not even like a proper, for me personally, there are things that Driving Day does lack, but I think I'd rather kind of do one for the channel, and then you guys can go and check it out. I know there are other things you want to see more on the channel, and for the Galloways people, you want to see more. There's a lot that people want to see more of, unfortunately, and it's stuff that I don't personally want to do. Do you know what I mean? You know. And I cover it on my channel because, yeah, I've still got 1 or 2 videos in the pipeline, but they're not videos. The videos that I'm doing I've got a pretend and play video. And here's the thing. Pretend and play is a genre that's now going from YouTube. So, and the people that do pretend and play content are these huge content creators. They're massive. They're well above my standards. They have a team of about 5-6 people, and they're making it, they're making money out of it. But yeah. And here's the thing. If I ever make money from my content, it goes into a project. So therefore we can do something great with it. Either we can get a location where we can do proper YouTube videos, or we can put it towards something that, put it towards an event or something. I really want to do an event that revolves around my channel at some point. I have thought a huge gaming festival, a bit more on the lines of sort of like a Comic-Con type thing, but I'll do it small. So even though I've got huge things, I don't want massive things there. So I will be getting a few people to come down with cars and stuff if it's on a field, but technically it could just be we do it in a small venue, and we could get a few people to come down to it, and also why I'm here, there is a Lord of the Rings trail which has been held by the Atkinson. Please go give it a try. It will support some of our independent companies, even though they don't get much from it. They get, something from it. So, yeah. And so, yeah. Now, here's another thing as well. I'm going to be doing soon, doing a small Facebook group. So if you are interested, I'm going to do a WhatsApp channel, which just has, it won't have any of the videos on, but it'll just have other bits and pieces. And then, obviously, if people are interested in the podcast, whatever, they can go on the WhatsApp channel and they can check it out. Right. I'm going to do the shout-outs, and then I'm going to talk about Gravity Max, and then I'll jump into the interview with Imaginary Noel. So, big shout-outs go to Auntie Mandy, Amy, Paula, Jamie, Rachel, Hugo, and Princess, Sparkles, and Sammy Forage, Tech World, and is it Ellie? Yeah, Ellie. So there you go. That is all your shout-outs. If I did miss anybody, which I probably have done, you can put in the comments. Yeah. So let's talk about Gravity Max. Because I went to Gravity Max and I did some shorts. Now, my thought of Gravity Max is it's a really great experience. The whole sort of place is, is an experience to behold. That's what they're going for. However, I think some things they've overdone the experience with. The street golf, we went and had a look at. We didn't have a go at it, but we had a look at it, and it didn't look like how I imagined it on the internet, which I thought it would be set down like a little street type thing, and you'd have like a model street, but it wasn't that. It's all on a screen. I should imagine if you had the goggles on, it would have that feel, but yeah, there was the bowling, which was full, so we didn't get to try that. But let's talk about the simulators. The car simulator, which was really good. I was a bit too scared to put the goggles on, but I will do next time. I think really for that, it actually felt like you were in a real car. Now, there are a lot of simulators I've been in which, the motion is spot on for a car simulator. It really, really is. It's not dead on for a car simulator for me. It's sort of the forward moving things. It's really hard to do that, to simulate the moving forward, the going over the bumps, the speed in which you're doing. You don't really feel much in the seat, which I wish you did. But you do actually feel the movement of a physical car. So it does actually feel like you're moving, but it doesn't feel like you're moving much. I think if you had the goggles on, it would give more to the experience, but I think it wasn't as, I mean, you're strapped in, so, it does go forwards and backwards. It tends to go up and down a bit. The bit that it really does perform well is when it's going around corners. Now, as you probably know, I love spinning around. I love, and I think for a simulator to simulate a corner, going around a corner it's a difficult thing. And for going around a corner, you literally get thrown around. It swings outwards a bit like a boat swing, so it doesn't really tilt like simulators do when they're going around a corner. It swings outwards, so it's on a swing motion. So when you go around a corner, it swings outwards. Because when you go around a corner, you sort of, to simulate that motion, you sort of do swing a little bit. And obviously, cars they don't actually sort of swing, they sort of tilt. Well, different cars, but to simulate the motion of going around a corner, you can't just tilt, because you don't just, when you go around a corner, you don't just tip, and cars don't tip when they go around a corner. So to have that swing motion gives more of a better simulation of it going around a corner. And you can feel that sort of thing. And sometimes I think when it's, and sometimes the car does swing a little bit when it's going over a bump. See, that I like as well, because when you're going over a bump, there's a lot of feeling of going over a bump. So they've done it quite a lot, really. They've put a lot into it. The seat does push you back on one bit to give you that feel of going really super fast, but you don't really have that feel of, but you have got the air going in your face. You've got the fans blasting you in the face as if you're going, to give you that thing, which again is great, because that adds to the feel of the motion of the that you're in a motion. It's like a giant kiddies ride. Now, the other simulators I went on the motorbike one, which I thought was really good, because a lot of motorbike simulators I've been on just tilt from side to side. This actually rocked backwards and forwards as well. So you had the simulation of going over the bumps and stuff. The best motorbike simulator I went on, which was the last one that we went on, because as you're going around corners, it's rocking backwards and forwards, which I think that's great, because there was a lot of feedback in the bike. There was, the handlebars shook, the actual bike itself shook. there was a lot of feedback in the seat, which, as a visually impaired, it's really good. Feedback in the seat, which is what you want really for a simulator, and that's what ticks all the, it's all the bells and the whistles, and I did think I was going to fall off it at one point, but it's more, you can actually feel what it's doing. You've got this whole thing, and there's a lot of feel in it, which I think scared one of the people that went up before me, but it's like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden you're moving backwards and forwards, and you've got this this whole sort of like, and it's like you felt like you were going over hills and stuff. It really had that whole thing. You've got the VR goggles that you put on the VR headset. Now that was really another thing as well, because I've tried VR before, and it's either awful binoculars or shitty sweetie wrapper glasses, which spoils the magic of VR, And I think that's the whole experience, you got the simulators, you got the VR. It really feels like you're in the experience, and you sort of living that experience almost. And yeah, so I think, a lot of arcades now, to bring the arcades back properly, all these arcades need to have this same experience. I think that will keep the arcades alive than just having those shitty simulators that just vibrate and move from side to side. These actually do a hell of a lot more than that. And it's a proper experience, And, and I want to go back, which is, again, it's important. But, that car simulator, you do feel like you're going forward. You do feel like you're going over bumps and things. But there just wasn't a lot of feedback in the seat, which for me, like the last simulator I went out, you felt so much feedback in the seat, which was like, wow, that's incredible. You're going over bumps and, which is great, but it's like, wow. And it's brilliant, because it's like, you feel like you're actually on a motorbike and everything. And they do sell this whole thing. I didn't think there was going to be another car motion simulator, but there wasn't. There was only that one that they had. I think there was another one, but we couldn't find it. It's just, it's real, if you're a hardcore gamer, it's like, you could be hours and hours and hours in there just, playing some great stuff. I mean, we didn't actually spend we didn't have like, we spent most of the day in there. But I think, it's a great, you could probably spend a good few hours in there, but it's still, you wouldn't get to play everything. And I think the things that, as long as you get to do the main stuff, the car simulator, you've got to book for going on that. I think you've got to book for going on the go-karts for that. But I think everything else, you can just, you buy a little card, and I've still got mine. But, and it's a great souvenir as well to have, oh, look at me, I've been to Gravity Max. But, yeah, I thought I'd talk about it because people saying, "Oh, you're going to talk about it on your podcast," and there you go. I've spoke about it, but I do think it's a great experience. I think a lot of arcades now. I think this is the future of arcades to bring them back. You know, and yeah, and yeah. Speaking about video game consoles, though, I was listening to a thing on the internet, and I think games consoles will be literally. I think imagination and reality will soon come to the point where imagination will be reality. I mean, I've got this thing with my imagination where, I've got pretend and play office scenarios. Well, you'd be able to have that, a pretend and play office scenario, but in a video game environment, and you'd be able to have that video game experience, and I think as well that the way to get people working in the future is through the video game environment. I think they'll be able to do that. There have been video game experiences that have done that. They just haven't awarded you anything properly for it, because in the future, if someone says, get a proper job, and you could say, I've got a proper job in a video game, it's not technically a real job, but it's a job that you've dreamt up, and yet you're getting paid for it. But I think that's the other thing. And I think games consoles will just be from anywhere. We'll have games consoles that are just, you'll be able to whip out from anywhere, It's like, oh, you want a projection console. Well, here you go. There's you'll be able to sit at the dinner table, for example, and your little dinner mat that you've got in front of you, you just be able to plop up a game console on there at will. It'll just be there right at you, because you've got like a little device that'll be smaller than a smartphone, smaller than anything that we've imagined, and it'll just be like a gimmick of a console, like it'll just be like an IRC reader or something like that, and you'll just stick it on your table, and then hey ho, you've got thousands of consoles sat at your fingertips. You could have, if you want to have a PlayStation, you've got a PlayStation. If you want a Xbox, you've got an Xbox. But what if you want like an Atari 2600, or what if you wanted a Sega Mega Drive or whatever? There's going to be these sort of 1,000 gaming consoles you'll be able to own in one sitting, You'll be able to just sit there and click on a game, oh, I want to play Golden Axe or whatever. And it'll be right there, and you could have any game you wanted right there, right at your fingertips, and here's the thing, you could even have those game consoles wherever you want, as long as you've got that IRC reader. You could just like whip it out and say, oh right, I'm going to have say if you wanted to play the video game console in your bedroom, you could just go, right, I'm going to whip out this little reader thing. All of a sudden, there you go. Also, like, there will be things that in your home, there will be Like, I think there'll be speakers literally embedded in the brickwork of walls, and televisions embedded in, like, there will be these smart bricks or smart wallpaper that once you put it on your wall, it'll be like as thin as the wallpaper that you've got on your wall. And you'll just be able to say something at it like your smart speaker or whatever, and it'll just play music, or it'll just stream a film, you know? Or it'll just stream a photo or whatever. And say if you wanted I think these windows, some of these windows in the homes, they'll soon have smart glass in them. So you could have a screen inside your window. So say if you were sick of the view, say you're thinking, right, I'm sick of looking at my street every day. I wanna see the Niagara Falls outside, you know, or I want to see the, whatever view you wanted. Say if you want a different view, you could just click on the window, and all of a sudden, it then shows this amazing view. Also, you'll be able to do you'll be able to watch films from your window, or play video games from your window, and it will just use the, to keep it going, it will just use the, solar powered battery to keep it going. And yeah, you'll have, I mean, they've already got AI glasses, but I think the AI glasses are the future. And I have thought about actually, trying a pair, because I probably would buy a pair of Meta glasses, or, if I knew that they did what I wanted them to do, if I could read a book with them, or whatever. And here's the thing. If you're lost, and you could say, hey, if you just tell your glasses, I'm lost, can you direct me to wherever? You could say, yeah, fine, I'll direct you, turn left, turn right. Because that's going to be more safer than trying to use a phone to direct you while you're walking down the street. And also, we can enjoy the things that fully sighted people have enjoyed. Like a movie. I mean, there are actually blind people training, is it Google Gemini, now to describe things properly when it's got the camera open. It does an alright job. It does what it needs to do. And it can read. It's pretty quick. And Gemini's great with handwritten than other products are. But I think that's because it's, handwritten stuff's pretty easy. And they've been training that for ages. And now I think it'd be great because you could just pick up a handwritten piece of work and go, oh yeah, I want to read what that says. Anyway, I'm going to hand over to Imaginary Noel now, so enjoy the rest of what he's got to say. So on this podcast, we've got Noel, who is a taxi driver, but you've had quite a few things happen in your life to get to where you are today. You've gambling, addiction, drugs, the works.